get us on the path that you believe will help us evolve as a people?
Well, in answer to your question, I certainly hope so. But none of us can actually guarantee what any president's going to do. But clearly he is moving in a direction opposite from the past, or at least in a different direction in the past. And the direction in the past was not very hopeful. This at least gives us hope that we can move in a better direction and must.
I want to jump into the question here real quickly. A fairly significant event did occur in 2004, and it dealt with it quite a bit. And that, of course, was when Governor Bill Richardson of New Mexico was asked to write a foreword to the book Roswell Dig Diaries, which was about a project that was funded by the Sci-Fi Channel, which also created the Coalition for the Freedom of Information that is lobbying for the issue in Washington. And in that foreword, Bill Richardson, who I know is planning to run for president and also very likely vice presidential pick, actually wrote in words that can never be taken back that he felt that the explanations given by the government, the Air Force, simply did not hold up. He felt that we really needed to get the information out and that people had a right to know. Have you ever interacted with him? Have you talked to him since? Have any sense of why he did that?
No, I do know him vaguely. I do not know him intimately or personally. And no, I do not know, except for the fact that in New Mexico, this has become, even more so than the rest of the country, started to become a hot topic. Because, Jack Schmitt, astronaut of Apollo 17, grew up in the New Mexico area, as I did, and until recently did have a home there, and was a senator from New Mexico. So that all fits into this mix here, but I can't answer your question any more directly than that.
Hi, Dr. Mitchell. Two different questions for you. Number one, would you be able or willing to go on a major TV show like Larry King or Charlie Rose and relate the story that you told us this morning about you telling the Pentagon that your version of the Roswell story and them relating that it was true?
Well, I have told that story, and I have been asked by CNN for an interview, and exactly who and what where that would be shown, I don't know. But I'm not adverse to that, but it has not opened an opportunity opened up for it at the moment.
And just two other quick things. I've read a lot that the NASA space program that we see publicly is just a small part of a much larger program, and I didn't know if you could talk about that.
I'm sorry, that part?
No, the NASA program that the average American citizen knows about is actually a small part of a much larger space program. I was wondering if you could talk about that.
And no, I don't know about that. There may be other things, but I don't think it's necessarily within NASA. NASA is very much, the program is very much open at the moment as far as I know. And at the moment it seems pretty ineffectual to me. But hopefully with new administration, new direction, we can carry out this idea of being the first generation of spacefarers off of Earth and move it forward. At the moment, I don't find the program terribly effective, even though, yes, there's, on paper at least, plans to go back to the moon, plans to go on to Mars in due course. But I quite often say in my talk that when we go to Mars, and we will in due course, provided we don't blow ourselves up with stupidities first, and we look back from Mars, this tiny little planet we call Earth, it will sound kind of foolish to say I came from the United States, Canada, England, Russia, Germany, Israel, or where. No, I came from Earth. And we're not ready to do that. We've got our act together. And we're not ready to be spacefarers. And Kennedy pulled a decade out of the 21st century. In the 20th century, during the contest, the space race, initial space race with the Soviets, in order to get us into space first. But we jumped so far ahead that the public hadn't caught up with it yet. And we got to be a spacefaring civilization. So that means we have to change our minds about it. And perhaps this whole issue right now that we're facing with alien visitation, with the problems of sustainability, maybe this is the turning point. Let's hope so.
And finally, you wrote about having a profound spiritual experience in space. I was wondering if you could, if you're able to convey that, what that was like.
Well, very briefly, I'll take a lot of our time on it. Very briefly, it's a phenomenon that has happened in all cultures at all times. And it has various names in different cultures. Out of the Greek, it's called metanoia, change of heart, change of mind. And the Zen tradition is called satori. In the ancient Hindi tradition, it's called, in the Sanskrit, written in Sanskrit, it's called samadhi. It's the idea of a change of perspective and causes you to see and experience the unity of all life, the oneness of all life. And the ancients describe that because, and in my own experience, investigating cultures all over the world, in their deep lore, their ancient lore, there's a history of this, but it is indeed the basis of religion, that a cultural religion. And the mystics, the great leaders who had these types of experiences, they told it, and a religion formed around it, but it's a culture. It's a cultural explanation. And now at this point in time, we fight over whose religion is the best one, but it's all, in my opinion, they're all rooted in the same transcendent, transformational type of phenomenon.
I'm going to jump in and again, I'm going to clarify a little bit for the gentleman's first question, Edgar. As you know, you were on a Larry King show a while ago, it was a number of months ago, but you were part of a number of guests, it was quite 8 or 9. And since then, you and I have suggested to the producer of Larry King, Gabriel Gallagher, that you and I would come on to do a show, or that you would come on alone to do a show. Fundamental theme being the disclosure dilemma. And we heard back from Gabriel, who said that, well, they weren't quite ready to do another show around that at this time. All right? Okay, fine. I mean, that they can do the shows they want to do. But I'd like to point out to the audience that Larry King Show and all of the programs have their websites, and they have the contact page on there. And they invite people to email them with their suggestions for guests, for shows. And I have a hunch that if everyone in this audience, and then through their Facebook, and through their mail lists, were to get on and go, you know, let's get a request in the Larry King Show, which is a very, very important show, believe me, that we want Edgar Mitchell on there by himself, right, for a lengthy interview to get into these things. I have a chance, I thought we might see you on. Now, the other thing I'll add is this. CNN International called last night, and they wanted you to be on television with them at 4 p.m. this evening. As you know, I told you. We have agreed that I'm going to call them and point out that we can't do that, because if he goes on tonight, he's scooping the press tomorrow at the press conference, and I think that's inappropriate. And so we will suggest to them that, okay, can we go on tomorrow night? So we'll see what happens there. And the other thing I'll mention is that Edgar got several hundred interview requests of various types after the Kerrang interview in the UK. He was not able to respond to the majority of those, and then the news cycle ended. But now we're hoping to start a new news cycle, and with any luck, they'll be back. And I know that Edgar is going to try to do as many as possible. So I hope you're just turning on your TV here in the next few weeks or month, and you just can't get away from it. You just keep turning it on. All right, next question.
Good morning, sir.